Also today, airport officials in Maine say at least 6 people are presumed dead after a private business jet crashed during the weekend's snowstorm. Officials say the Bombardier Challenger 600 crashed during takeoff at Bangor International Airport last night and caught fire. No details about the victims have been released. The airport, located about 200 miles north of Boston, was closed shortly after the crash. Snow had started falling at the time of the crash, but other planes were taking off safely. Turning now to the Middle East, Israeli officials say they've recovered the last hostage remains in Gaza, a major step towards the next phase of Israel's ceasefire with Hamas. Israeli soldiers sang the country's national anthem as they stood around the body of 24-year-old police officer Ron Gavili. He was killed during the October 7th Hamas-led attack, and his body was among the first to be taken into Gaza. Speaking to lawmakers, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called it an incredible achievement.
I thank the entire people of Israel for their prayers and encouragement. We completed this mission, as I promised, and we will also complete the other tasks we have set.
With all of the hostages returned, the next phase is expected to include the reopening of Gaza's border with Egypt. That would allow Palestinians to move freely in and out of Gaza and ease the flow of aid into the territory. That second phase also involves more complicated issues like disarming Hamas, something the group has refused to do. China's top military ranks are in turmoil after news that its most senior general is being investigated for what's being called suspected serious violations of discipline and law. General Zhang Youxia was second only to President Xi Jinping in the chain of military command. His removal is the latest in a near total purge of China's powerful Central Military Commission, with only one of its 6 members still in place. Global security experts warn that the full impact of the changes are unknown, but they could have major implications for the region and especially Beijing's approach to Taiwan. A number of congressional Democrats are heading to a detention center in Dilley, Texas this week. They're planning to meet with the 5-year-old Ecuadorian boy and his father who were taken by ICE agents in Minnesota last week. The detention of preschooler Liam Conejo Ramos has become a focal point of the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. The visit comes after the Associated Press captured aerial images of detainees protesting at the South Texas Family Residential Center this past weekend. They held signs saying "Liberty for the Kids" in Spanish. Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy tried to visit the site last week but said he was, quote, illegally blocked. The Treasury Department is canceling its contracts with Booz Allen Hamilton after a massive tax leak that revealed details about its wealthy clients, including President Trump. Former IRS contractor Charles Edward Littlejohn was sentenced to 5 years in prison in 2024 for leaking tax information to the New York Times and ProPublica. The Treasury Department said today the leak affected roughly 406,000 people. Secretary Scott Bessent says the firm failed to protect sensitive data. Booz Allen Hamilton has more than 30 contracts with the Treasury Department, totaling around $21 million. President Trump says he's raising tariffs on many goods from South Korea. In a social media post this afternoon, Mr. Trump said South Korea's legislature is not living up to its deal with the United States. As such, he's increasing South Korean tariffs on autos, lumber, pharma, and all other reciprocal tariffs from 15% to 25%. It's not clear when the hikes would take effect. The two sides agreed to a framework agreement last year, but South Korea's National Assembly has yet to approve the deal. Meantime, on Wall Street today, stocks posted decent gains to start the week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added more than 300 points on the day. The Nasdaq rose about 100 points. The S&P 500 has now recovered from its losses last week. And one of the driving forces behind the eradication of smallpox, Dr. William Fege, has died. As a young medical missionary in Nigeria, Fege developed what's called a ring containment strategy that helped health officials combat the disease. He later went on to lead the CDC in the 1970s and 80s, where he helped guide the nation's early response to the AIDS epidemic. Standing 6'7", Fege was a towering figure in his field in more ways than one, receiving the Medal of Freedom in 2012, the nation's highest civilian honor. William Fege died over the weekend at his home in Atlanta. He was 89 years old. Still to come on the NewsHour, Tamara Keith and Amy Walter break down the latest political headlines. And the NewsHour's Settle In podcast provides advice for keeping a sense of purpose during an onslaught of news.
This is the PBS NewsHour from the David M. Rubenstein studio at WETA in Washington, headquarters of PBS News.
Wait just a second, we have one more thing to share.
We want to say a heartfelt thank you for watching and supporting PBS News.
Without you, we simply wouldn't be able to provide the news and the information that you trust.
So thank you from everybody here at PBS News.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution today.